Okay, so far this section, we've learned about the Californios and the 49ers. Today we're going to talk about the Chinese immigrants. Okay, some things I want you looking for are what are some of the jobs that Chinese immigrants had, and how did the settlers treat the Chinese immigrants, or how did they react to them? At the top of the page, you can see the Chinese workers that were on the Central Pacific Railroad Company's tracks at the top. And so that tells us right away that they worked for railroads, but there were other things as well. So again, you're looking for what kind of jobs do they have and how did settlers treat them. It starts off, news of California gold reached China in about 1849. Within 2 years, 25,000 Chinese immigrants had sailed to California looking for the gold mountain. Most of these Chinese hoped to earn money from for their families and then return home. Many people in China were too poor to afford food or farmland. Local wars and crop failures made it even harder. By the time the Chinese immigrants arrived in California, most of the gold that was easy to mine was gone. So the newcomers worked together in mines that earlier had been given up on. The Chinese miners were determined and they found riches through their hard work. American miners were jealous. They convinced the state government to place a tax on foreign miners. American miners also used threats and violence to push the Chinese away from the mines. Many Chinese found work helping to build the first transcontinental railroad. The Central Pacific Railroad Company was laying track east of Sacramento, California. The Union Pacific Railroad Company was building west from Nebraska. In time, nearly all of the Central Pacific's workers were Chinese. They showed particular skill at laying track. One crew boss reported that the Chinese workers always laid more track than the other crews. Yet, Chinese railroad workers earned less than other workers, and while working longer and doing more dangerous tasks. Sometimes they had to carve tunnels through solid rock. Using ropes, they lowered themselves down to the sides of cliffs and drilled holes in the rock. They would then use gunpowder and fuses in the holes before blowing the rock away. The ropes could break or the gunpowder could explode too soon. Both types of accidents killed workers, and in winter many workers died due to the cold or snow. The Transcontinental Railroad was completed in 1869. The Chinese then had to find new ways to earn money. Some opened stores while others worked as farmers and fishermen. But many white Americans still saw the Chinese as foreigners because the Chinese looked so different, had different customs, and spoke a different language. Some Americans accused Chinese workers of taking jobs away from them for less pay. Many Chinese workers were forced to leave their own towns, and some were even killed. In 1882, Congress responded to this anger toward the Chinese by passing the Chinese Exclusion Act. Exclusion means keeping someone out. The law stopped most Chinese immigrants from entering the United States. Many years passed before Chinese citizens were allowed to enter the United States as freely as they had before. The next thing you're going to do is go to this slide. You need to tell me 3 jobs that Chinese immigrants had in California, and 1 in each box, of course. And then tell me how white Americans reacted to the Chinese. I just need 2 ways there at the bottom. It's obvious that they did not react positively to them. There were some terrible things that happened. Meanwhile, the Chinese were just trying to earn money. And so I would like you to put those things. If you need to go back into the reading to find them, please do so.